Leann, our season ticket update was very positive after the close of the early bird. Can you talk us through your feelings of that?
Well, it's the season ticket numbers, I think as I said in my tweet over the weekend, are just phenomenal. Delighted that we're actually over 9,500 now, which for this point in the season is just incredible. And hopefully it's going to bode well for the season ticket renewals coming towards us as well. We've got of that 9,500, I think 600 or 700 of them, near 700 actually, are new season ticket holders. So not only are we getting supporters who are renewing, which is fantastic, we're actually getting new season tickets, and that might well be supporters who were buying tickets for games coming pay at the gate, if you like. But I think because of probably the scarcity of some of the matches, I've encouraged them to actually purchase a season ticket, and for whatever reason it makes no difference. We've got some new season ticket holders, which is great.
We've had silverware towards the end of each of the last two seasons. Was a slight concern that after the boom of those two seasons that we might start to see fans drift off, and how satisfying has it been that the numbers are stronger than ever?
I speak to supporters and they're telling me that they're enjoying coming to the games and coming to Easter Road and travelling to support the team on the road and enjoying the match days again. So I think while they're continue to do that, you can see that strength in the support. And of course it was fantastic to be promoted. It was wonderful to win the Scottish Cup. It's great to be in the top six, and it's great to be in a position where at this point in the season that we've still got the opportunity to participate for something, and that something would be a European spot. So I think supporters are generally happy, excited, looking forward to the close of the season, the last number of games, and hopefully with an anticipation that we might achieve that European spot.
You mentioned the scarcity of tickets, and the club introduced the ticket exchange scheme. How important is it that we get those seats filled, especially I guess for such a big run-in?
Well, I mean, it's the obvious is in any number of levels. The obvious would be that having this stadium full is brilliant for Neil and the team, because having people there to support you and push you on and get you over the line in matches is absolutely crucial. And obviously the other side of it is that it helps finance the club and helps finance the plans of the club. And I think we've said before, we need to make sure that the club is well looked after. But football clubs, and I've used this phrase before, football clubs eat money. They all do, and we need to make sure that we can continue to feed ourselves and make sure that we can be in the mix for the best players that come towards us, opportunities that come towards us, and we can only do that if we have the opportunity to create revenue and create income. So those extra tickets, every extra ticket, every season ticket makes a huge difference.
Having that backing early when most other clubs perhaps in the league haven't launched their season tickets, does that make a difference when it comes to your planning for next season?
I think it's been relatively traditional here. I think that season tickets have went early, late February, early March, and that's a massive benefit, certainly from a planning perspective, because you've got a kind of guarantee, if you like, that you're going to get at least a level of support going forward. And I think it gives you a sense check of where you're going to be sort of through the season as well. So as it stands at the minute, ours looks very good, and it allows us to, if we want to do our business early. Now, we did quite a lot of business to do early last year. If you remember, we had sort of 3 phases of recruitment last year, and the first phase was actually retaining a number of players who were out of contract, and then we moved into the kind of new recruitment phase, if you like. So it gives us the opportunity to try and make those decisions early, and really positively speak to Neil and the recruitment guys. Not too early. I think it's hard to the anticipation is you maybe get somebody in the door a couple of weeks after the season finishes. I don't think it's going to be that early, but certainly as they're coming back for pre-season training.
When we spoke to you last, it was the eve of the first match of the season. How do you reflect on the season so far, and where are we as a club in line with your expectation?
I think we're probably ahead of expectation at the moment, if the truth be told. I expected this to be in the top 6. I hoped that we would comfortably be in the top 6, and I think it's fair to say that we've achieved that. Certainly the plan for the club is to get us into a position where we are regularly having the opportunity to qualify for European competition, and I think everybody knows what that means. Having the opportunity this season, I think, has probably come towards us, if I'm honest, probably quicker than we expected. It doesn't mean we're not organised for it or we're not looking forward to it should it happen. But that is the kind of trajectory of the club over the course of the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, is that we get into a situation, we hope, where we are regularly sort of competing for the European spot. And that, I mean, that puts a lot of pressure on us, you know, that's a big ask. If you look at how the club has performed in the last 20 years, you know, that's something in terms of top 6 performances, in terms of European qualification, etc., that, you know, hasn't been consistent. And you know, there are very few clubs where that has come to in a consistent way. So that's not going to happen just overnight. That's going to happen equally. It's not going to happen by pure luck. It's going to be by good planning, by, you know, real design, and by some hard work and some great recruitment. So all of these things, as you can probably see in the last 3 or 4 years, are kind of starting to build towards that. But we're probably ahead of where we thought we would be, if I'm 100% honest, and delighted about it, but we're probably a bit ahead at the moment.
Does that change priorities moving into next season and your trajectory of the club, or is it a case of, as you say, kind of reinforcement and getting that consistency being key?
I think maybe it changes probably some expectations from supporters, perhaps, that you know replicate, and that's not for us to be, as if I'm not sounding ambitious at the minute. You know, we know that I think I said last year, competing regularly in Europe, getting to a point where you're not just qualifying, that's what we want to do, but we actually have a chance where we compete in Europe. So when we play a game, you know, we play it well, and there's a good possibility for us to actually win that match. So I think it's more of the same, to be honest. We will see, like every season, you'll see some player changes. I'm hoping that we don't see any other changes, significant changes behind the scenes, and that's not me kind of referring to anything that I know. I'm hoping for that consistency behind the scenes, and I think it's more of the same, really, and that is, you know, ambition to move us towards the position I've just spoken about.
Off the pitch, it does appear healthy with the supporters coming towards. What do the priorities look like for yourself in terms of kind of relationships with the support and potentially some of the wider community aspect? Well,
the communities and supporter engagement is incredibly important to us, and we've, as you know, we've now got a new marketing resource within the club. So I think hopefully we'll start to see the communication. It's been very good, I think, the communication. Hopefully we'll see the communication become even better, much more sort of distinct, depending on the type, you know, whether you're coming to the club every week as a season ticket holder or whether we're trying to recruit you, and as a supporter. So that's been a positive move. As of the last sort of couple of weeks, we've now got a DLO, a disabled liaison person, who has started, Anne Brown, so she is now in post. So that should mean that disabled supporters, for example, will hopefully start to see some improvement where they're concerned in terms of service level, making it easier for them to purchase tickets, maybe helping us make some changes to the stadium. We've made some changes to the stadium for our disabled supporters, but actually it would probably be better having more communication with them, and she'll bridge that gap. And I think, you know, a bit like talking about what we've been doing in football, hopefully more of the same. We're hopeful that we might see a new website in the next 12 months, a bit more interactive. I think Leeann TV is going from strength to strength. It's a really good product. And we want to try and kind of integrate, if we can, integrate some of the kind of communication platforms, or at least have them talking to each other, so that that we can try and make them more relevant for the stuff and that might interest you as a supporter, but other bits of it might not.
When you first came into the role, one of the big things you talked about was a vision of having kids running the streets in the green and white as opposed to other clubs. Do you feel that now? And I guess that remains a priority now more than ever.
I certainly think the Persevere Tour has made a difference, and I think we are now seeing more young supporters at schools, and we're seeing much higher participation levels within our community football. And I think you'll see that continue to grow. The big challenge for us where community football is concerned is actually just getting access to pitches and lets. So it's not for the kind of want a demand, if you like. The demand is there. It's actually just getting places and pitches where we can actually get coaches and the kids together. And our community foundation, we have given the kind of responsibility for that to the community foundation. So that is a kind of key task for them. They use the training centre, they use it really well. But we'd like to get more activity in and around in Edinburgh. But they're doing fantastically well, and certainly the feedback seems to be that there are, higher participation, and the supporter base in terms of younger supporters is growing higher now than it's been for some time. And I think that's like every club, you need to be kind of bringing through new young supporters, and hopefully they'll stay with you for a long time.
Coming back to season tickets, the next deadline would be the seat renewal deadline at the start of June. Do you expect to see hopefully more supporters renewing between now and that deadline?
I would expect so. So we saw obviously really strong numbers to date. I would expect to see the vast majority of supporters renewing, and most I would suspect will want to renew by the 1st of June, where the seats are released. I think we are getting to a point now where choice is becoming more difficult, particularly for larger groups. And if you're looking at season tickets, new season tickets, other than the odd couple in the middle of the east and the west, etc., the choices now are really in some of the areas, the sort of south-east side of the east stand, and towards the wings of the west stand as well, which I think is a great place for us to be in, because it means that as we're selling more tickets, these tickets are becoming more scarce, which means more tickets are being purchased through season tickets. So I'm really hoping that will be the case, and I think supporters now realise if they let their seat go, for example, the reality is someone else is more likely to come in and take that seat. And I think as we experienced last year, particularly around the Category A games last year, the season just passing us, the kind of scramble for those tickets. And I know everybody wants to come to a Hearts game, but we've never seen the demand around those tickets, the Celtic tickets and the Rangers tickets, as we have in the last series of games there. And if we continue performing the way that we are, and I think that we continue doing the stuff that we're doing at the club, I don't see that stopping. So the walk-up for these matches, I think, is going to prove to be quite difficult. And then that kind of leads us into whether we use the South Stand and other things that we might do.
And does that mean potential need for expansion of the stadium then, or is that a wee bit off yet?
I would say that's some way off yet. It's funny, actually, I met somebody at the game at Ross County on Saturday, and that was a question: when are we filling in the corners? When are we filling in the corners? There's been a lot of infrastructure investment in the club in the last 10, 12, 15 years, and we're grateful for that, because we sit in Easter Road Stadium as it is at the minute, a great stadium, and we look at the training centre, which is ours, wholly owned, a brilliant training centre, which is one of the best in Scotland. But I don't think we need to spend any more in that infrastructure base. I mean, there'll be some smaller things we need to do. There are some things that we need to do. We are currently about to relay the Astro pitch at the training centre. That work's going to start this month. And we've got plans and aspirations, along with our colleagues in the foundation, to look at a joint project at the training centre where the community foundation would have more access and benefit to pitch use and other things down there, and the club would participate in that as well. But in terms of filling in the corners at Easter Road, I've seen quite a lot of chat about that. That is not a consideration at this point.
One of the areas of the stadium that is perhaps under greatest pressure from a capacity point of view, one of our more popular areas, is the family area. Can you explain, I guess, the importance of having a continual flow through there, and about making that area perhaps a bit more family friendly for next season? Yeah,
and this, I think, probably relates to the communication that we've sent out last year and again this year around asking supporters who are not there as part of a kind of family group, if you like. When I say family group, what I mean by that is if it isn't that you're being there as on a match day with friends who's got kids, and you're there as part of a group that travel as neighbours, whatever it might well be. You're there in my mind, you're there as a family group with a young person. But if you're there and you don't have a young person with you, or a child with you, and you maybe have just been there for a number of years, we're asking you to move to somewhere else in the stadium. And the reason for that is quite simple, is because there are no more seats for kids to come in and get access to the £25 season ticket. And we want to make sure that we can try and deliver good family, good kid environment in there. And that means the things that we do around the concourse, it means the food that we sell in the kiosk, it means entertainment. Equally, it means the language that they hear in the stands, and the behaviour of people around them. And that, so what we're asking, if you are an adult in that section now, and you've been there for a number of years, I understand that you don't want to move because you've been at a seat for a particular period of time, but I think there's a recognition that you need, or we're asking you to move in order to let a young person in or a family in who will go on to be supporters as well. And I think whilst the ticket options are scarce in the stadium, there are still opportunities for individuals, and people who are in that stand to move to seats in the east or in the west. And I would ask anybody who's in that position just now to try and do it, please. And try and do it as soon as possible, because we may get to a situation in the future where we'll be looking at some kind of reallocation, and I don't really want to get to that point. I'd much rather do it in a very collaborative and positive way. But ultimately it's down to just getting more youngsters into the stadium. Equally, folk will say, well, that's fine, just put kids' tickets everywhere else in the stadium. I'm going to come back to the other point. The club needs to finance itself. The club needs to be able to be competitive. The club needs to have financial resilience. And yeah, that would be an easy thing to do, but it wouldn't be a smart thing to do from a revenue perspective. And actually, that whole bottom tier of that stand is dedicated for that purpose, and it's a big area.
Finally, Leann, we're just awaiting the post-split fixtures. Do you have a message for the supporters as we gear towards a very exciting run-in?
Well, you've been magnificent to date. I would just say let's look forward to the next 5 matches. I think Neil is looking for that support, continued support, the support that you give them, the players, the continued support that they get. Easter Road at the minute is a great place to be on a Saturday playing football, and I would urge everybody to come out, come to these matches, and really help push us over the line. These are an important 5 games. It's but we have I think anything can happen. It's so tight, and having that additional support makes the difference. So come out and get yourself to Easter Road for the matches that are coming towards us.